everybody, and well, hopefully not nobody, I'm JJumbo. Rumor has it that a kid from the 90s was able to predict Super Mario Galaxy 16 years before it released. So I want to find them and ask how they were able to prophesize it. Super Mario Galaxy was a game that I would watch my brother play all of the time, but I would hardly ever play it myself. So this game is in this weird state of being one that I knew almost everything around it, but never played more than just the beginning of the game. This must be this kid's manual. It is! And it shows me how to find them! This game's hub world is almost like a second home to me. It's a Comet Observatory, and it has something extremely peaceful about it. It's just the music and all the Lumas having their time just living here. It even has the Brigade even set up shop in part of the map. Though the Comet Observatory doesn't have any missions that give you power stars, unlike how in Super Mario 64 where you can chase Mips or talk to some toads, it doesn't break my heart that it didn't do that, because I feel like it would have been forced if you had to get power stars in the Comet Observatory. It does have parts where you need to know some of the controls. For example, to get to one of the domes faster, you'll need to use a wall jump to get there. I do like that the Comet Observatory does evolve over time. It starts off by having only one of the domes open, but whenever you grab Grand Stars, more of it will open up and more Lumas will appear. Even though some areas are locked, you can still explore parts of it. You might just have to use parts of your moveset to get there. It'll just be darkened out. I love that this whole place just feels lived in. Like how almost all the domes have a purpose besides going into the levels. Like how the third dome is a kitchen and how the sixth one is a garden. It also has some hungry Lumas around where you'll need to feed them a certain amount of Starbits for them to reveal a new galaxy. Now it says wall kicks will work? Don't know what that means, but I don't know what I was expecting, but at least I was hoping for something. So every galaxy is split into 3 different camps. The first type and most common are the big galaxies. They contain roughly 6 missions. The first are by doing some kind of a task, whether it's just getting to the end, helping someone out, or by doing a third thing. Now most of these don't stick with me a whole lot, but they kind of show what vibe the galaxy is going for. Now most of the third missions have you going through the whole level again, but at the end, you defeat a mini-boss. After that, you get some common missions where you might have to race against a cosmic clone of yourself, do something in a small period of time, or do a daredevil run, where you'll get 1 hit point to do that whole mission. Then, there are purple coin stars, where after you beat the game, they'll unlock, and then you'll have to grab a certain amount of purple coins. In some of them, you'll have to grab them in a set period of time. They aren't too hard, but the timer does give it a bit of stress. But the other kinds are by grabbing 100 of them throughout a whole section of the level. The problem with the second type is that you'll be having to come through the entire section of that level, and it could take up to 15 minutes to do that without dying. And if you die, you'll have to start it from the beginning. Then the 6th mission will be a hidden mission where you'll have to do a special task on another mission. These have the most potential out of all of them, because it can be almost whatever the developers wanted it to be. It could be something like blowing up trash on a secret planet, defeating a golden chain chomp, or collecting music notes. Generally, I think the big galaxies get repetitive really fast, because you'll be having to play the same part 6 times, and on my 3rd playthrough, I'm pretty much finished with it. But then, they add 3 more that I'll have to do. The next ones are smaller galaxies, and it only contains a couple of stars, and it only really focuses on a smaller thing. For example, it could be doing an obstacle course while bouncing on a ball, having to grab music notes on a disappearing planet, or even having to platform through a level that's only tangible when it is seen. I think that these kind of galaxies have the biggest ups and downs, because some of them will only focus on motion controls or pointer gimmicks, which can be irritating at times. Like there's one where you have to surf on a manta ray. It's a really loose set of controls you'll have to use. It's especially difficult because the water is wavy and bumpy. So even if it were a normal set of controls, it would be hard. But some of the really fun ones are having to platform on a cookie and dessert style road where there are holes in the parts of the floor, but the floor also moves, so you'll have to time your jumps more often. Then there's one where you'll have to launch yourself with sling pods throughout space. I do think that they're an amazing way to break up the pace of bigger galaxies, but sometimes they get too annoyingly difficult, where it makes me want to resist to continue even playing. The final type are boss galaxies. They have this ominous aura about them even before you start playing them. It's something about the music give this an imposing quality to it. And the Galaxy's preview is just Bowser's face with his eyes glowing. But actually playing these levels, they're just a light platforming challenge. It's a cool mood setter, but going past that, pretty easy. It does play more with the gravity flipping at random points, which makes it feel like Bowser's experimenting with creating galaxies. And then fighting Bowser is pretty easy. He'll dish out an attack, but it's pretty predictable. And then you'll wait for him to attack one of the points that'll hurt him, so it's pretty easy, but it's a nice spectacle. However, every other boss level is against Bowser Jr., and these ones are more of an actual challenge. They have you trying to destroy a mechanism that Bowser Jr. is controlling. These ones will launch out more projectiles for you to dodge. So the strength with the boss galaxies are that they have more of an actual challenge, and they have such an imposing presence to them. Now, something that gets on my nerves is the movement in this game. Mario moves so slow. He takes a sweet time getting anywhere. It almost feels slower than something I can do. Hey. It wouldn't be too much of a problem if there was some kind of movement choices in this game. Like they do have the long jump, but it feels nerfed compared to other Mario games. Like in something like Super Mario 64, you can do the wahoos and the yippies, and those feel like butter when you get the hang of it. Also, in something like Super Mario Odyssey, Mario's walking speed is also slow, but you get dives, decent long jumps, and rolling to get to places fast. I wouldn't care too much about it if the levels weren't also huge! Most of the levels take so long that it feels like half the time you are just walking. Even with Super Mario 3D World, my beloved, the levels have actual platforming for you to do on a regular basis. Also, 3D World, my beloved, has fun movement when you get power-ups that give you a different moveset, like the cat suit, where it allows you to do a trick where you cancel the cat dive right before you touch the ground, and then you keep some of that momentum, so you can chain them together. Now it says to get to the next area, you need to find these mystical powers? What? Even the power-ups in Super Mario Galaxy are pretty average. There's the bee mushroom, which I think is the highlight of this game. It lets you hover in the air for a little bit, and then you can stick to walls and land on platforms that would typically be too heavy for Mario. The problem with this one is that for some reason, it gets rid of every other kind of movement that you get. Like I hated the long jump, but at least I had something to move fast with, but they had the nerve to get rid of it. Next, there's the boo mushroom. It lets you fly in the air with it, but you move like molasses with it. You can also go through random walls, but if you touch light, you lose the power up. The next one is a spring mushroom, and this one also is pretty bad. You are constantly bouncing with it, so now you can't fully control where you're going, but if you time your bounce, you can jump really high with it. Then there are some power-ups that have a timer to it. The first one is a fire flower. You just launch fireballs by shaking the Wii remote, and for some reason, whenever I try to aim the fireballs, they would go way off course from what I was trying to hit. The next one is the ice flower. Now in most 2D Mario games, they work almost like a fire flower, but it freezes enemies instead of burning them. But in this game, you turn to ice and now you can walk on water and lava. It's sort of nice, because the ice skating mechanics in this game are pretty fun. But there was a bit of a janky part where if you try to do a spin jump at the wall with it, it launches you back a little. Normally with a spin jump, it will launch you back as well, but I think with the ice flower, it feels more common for me to get launched back. The final power-up is the red star. It lets you fly wherever you want, and you can stop wherever to change your direction. This one is really cool. Now I just wish I could use it in more than just the Comet Observatory and the small level it was introduced in. Also, an issue with the power-ups that have a timer is that the timer felt like it only lasts 5 seconds. Realistically, it lasts about 20 seconds, but I wish it would just be a minute or so, just so I don't have to worry about a timer, and I could just have fun with those power-ups. Okay, I got what you wanted. Also, because this game is on the Wii, you get forced motion and pointer controls. You get a spin jump, which lets you attack enemies, and you get a bit of a jump corrector. I hate that this is tied to shaking the Wii remote, because I don't want to rely on attacking enemies or making sure that I'm landing correctly by me getting carpal tunnel. Then, throughout every level, there'll be Starbits, and you could just walk into them. Or, to get them faster, or if they're out of reach, you'll have to point at them with the Wii remote. So the whole time while I was playing, I had to constantly point at my TV, and then with the same hand I was pointing with, I have to shake it. It got so bad that after a couple of levels, I would have to stop for a bit just so I could give my hands a break. These tasks are so repetitive. Like, all I do is grab this random thing or do this random task and then a new path shows up. All I want to do is meet this random guy. Why does this have to be so repetitive? Seriously? I think the one thing I'd praise this game on is the story. It takes the whole Bowser kidnaps Peach and transforms it into something on a more grandiose scale. First, Bowser's motive is to create a galactic empire to rule over the rest of the galaxies, and to have Peach by his side for it. This makes it feel like Bowser's not just this monster you have to defeat, but this supervillain that you need to overcome. And after every fight you have with him, he states that even though you beat him this time, it means nothing, because his plans are almost complete. And this turns out to be almost true, because after you battle him for the final time, the galaxy he's created consumes itself, and then mutates into this colossal black hole. And the only thing that can stop it is all the Lumas launching themselves at it. Even then, I could be reading it wrong, but doing that transforms the universe into something that has similar elements, but new. So Bowser's galaxy was so powerful that the whole universe got reset from it. Also, the final cutscene plays into my heartstrings a good bit. When every Luma launched itself into that black hole, it includes the one that you've been keeping with you the whole time. And it has this really heart-wrenching music that makes all the stress of the black hole consuming everything into something really depressing. Somehow, there's even more heartbreaking things. There's this optional part of the Observatory where you can listen to Rosalina's storybook. And it's about how she left home as a kid to help a baby Luma find their parents. But in the end, Rosalina becomes a new mama for the Lumas. A part that gets me really depressed is that it says that Rosalina's mom is buried under a tree on her home planet. Is there anything that can make me feel better about this?
Super Luigi Galaxy!
Now that might do it. So after you 100% a save file as Mario, you can play as Luigi! And the big thing that changes is that Luigi jumps a little bit higher, he runs a little bit faster, and then slides a little after stopping. The weird thing about it is that when you're playing as Mario, there are points when you need to save Luigi. But when you're playing as Luigi, you need to save Luigi. Now it says I need to do the whole thing again, but with a new shirt and no jacket? Okay. These tasks aren't even anything too hard, they're just boring and repetitive. Even changing my outfit doesn't spice things up a whole lot. I do really believe that this game's biggest flaw is it feels so repetitive. And there isn't a whole lot of ideas that shake it up by a huge amount. Also, the movement emphasizes this problem. It does have a great story, but for me at least, stories in games are extra flavor. But if the core experience is pretty bad, I won't love it. So I really think I'd give this game a 6 out of 10. I finally found you! Who are you?
Me? I'm somebody you know.
Pac-Man!
No, it's me, Cola.
Really? Wait, how did you write that article about Super Mario Galaxy? It was written in the 90s, and I swear you're younger than me.
Oh yeah, I come from a different universe where all that stuff was true. But then that universe got destroyed, so I fled to this one, and with the information I had, I wrote an article about it, and most of it was true.
Really?
Nah, I'm just messing with you.
Then why did you send these clues leading me towards you?
Well, I wanted you to play Sonic Adventure with me.
Why is it wet?
I don't know!